Miles Granger didn't stand. I remember thinking, oh, she picked the wrong guy. Didn't blink, didn't flinch. The chicken leg was still warm. His eyes were not. She leaned in, too close, too loud. Finger aimed, voice breaking. Something about violating HOA Code 3C. He took a bite, slow, chewed twice. Looked at her, not past her, at her. One corner of his mouth curled. Not a smirk, not friendly, just measured. 4 officers stood still behind her. No one moved. He wiped his fingers on a napkin, then said nothing. Again. He used to work internal affairs, not loud, not fast. But when Miles opened a file, someone packed a box before noon. They said he had a gift. He called it patience. That skill didn't go away when the badge did. It just moved somewhere quieter, right here, near the water, past the tree line, where his great-grandfather drove the first stake in 1919. People think it's just a piece of land, a lakefront spot that nobody builds on. No signs, no fences. But you cross into it wrong. Something changes. The wind feels off, birds go quiet, dogs turn around. Locals know not to test it, not because Miles scares them, but because the ground itself seems like it remembers things. And it does. He rebuilt the old shed by hand, didn't paint over the markings in the wood, didn't fix the gate that leans, didn't need to. Some places don't ask to be defended. They just need someone who sees the whole map and waits. People from the HOA walked by sometimes. Some nodded, some whispered. One tried to leave a pamphlet once. She didn't try again. Miles never yelled, never needed to. But he knew where the cameras used to be, because he once installed them. He knew the shape of fake paperwork, because he once shredded it. And he knew that the louder a person speaks, the less truth they tend to carry. This morning, before she screamed in his face, he walked the tree line, stopped by the water, ran one hand along a wooden post, still sunk deep into the mud. The numbers were still there, faded but clear. He tapped it once. Not to check the wood. He already knew it was solid. He just needed to feel the pulse. Then he turned and walked back up the hill. The chicken was still warm. He sat down and waited for her to break character. She didn't raise her voice, didn't need to. One step onto the gravel. Clipboard in hand, glance left, nod. The man with the drill didn't ask questions. He just followed. It took 12 seconds to rip down the old sign, 10 more to toss it into the bed of a truck. The new one came in clean. White letters, fresh paint. Echo Campground, managed by HOA. It gleamed like a city ordinance and felt just as cold. No one clapped, but no one stopped them. Miles stood halfway up the slope, didn't move, didn't raise a hand. Only his watch shifted. He turned his wrist, checked the second hand, then looked down the hill, not at her, at the sign. The old one had flipped on impact. Wood cracked near the base. A splinter ran through the middle, but part of the engraving still showed, barely. In memory of Walter Granger, 1946 to 2008. She didn't see it, didn't look. The drill clicked once more. A small puff of sawdust floated in the breeze. Then she turned, clipboard still clutched like scripture, and faced a passing neighbor. HOA approved this weeks ago, she said. We sent the email. You saw it, right? The man paused, looked at her, then at the sign. His name was Hank. Lived 3 houses down. Fished here every Sunday since '87. He opened his phone, scrolled, stopped. Didn't say anything. Just nodded, not to her, but to no one in particular. Then walked on. No one cheered, no one questioned. And that's how it always started, not with noise, with certainty. The quiet kind, the dangerous kind. Miles ran one thumb along the rim of his watch. A habit. The hour had been marked. He turned, walked back to the shed. Didn't say a word, but the tape recorder was already running inside. Sometimes it's not the shouting that stays with you. It's the nod, the clipboard, the way everyone looked, but said nothing. Maybe you've stood there too, knowing it's wrong, but waiting, watching how far they'll push. If that moment hit you, leave a line below. Let's keep building this the quiet way. From the front seat of the HOA truck, the young assistant adjusted the camera. It clicked once, focused, red rope across the trees. One man watching, still as stone. Miles didn't say a word, didn't even step forward, just turned, walked back to his Jeep, opened the lockbox behind the driver's seat. Inside, an old land survey folded in thirds, black and white film photo tucked into the crease, a county registry receipt, yellowed at the corners, and a cassette, labeled only with a date. On top, a sticky note. She'll say it 3 times. Don't interrupt. Behind him, they were hammering stakes, looping red boundary tape like they owned the air itself. And then the voice came, sharp, declarative, measured, like someone quoting from a policy handbook. This is shared property, Miles. You can't just claim it for yourself. He didn't turn around, just pressed record, left the cassette running in the center console. Down by the path, a neighbor paused, arms crossed, watching. The voice came again. You don't have the right to fence this off. It's for the community. Miles laid the photocopy down, right on the camping chair. Let the wind catch the edge just enough so the date was visible. He didn't pin it, didn't point, just left it where someone might notice. The third time came sooner than expected. This land belongs to all of us, not just your family, Miles. Someone muttered behind the rope line, quiet but sharp. Didn't she say it was private lease last month? The younger HOA staffer, still holding the spool of tape, leaned closer to the lead. Wait, I thought you said it was going to be HOA owned soon? The lead didn't answer, kept looping tape, but the silence felt louder this time. Miles closed the lockbox, climbed into the Jeep, and wrote down one number, 8:41 a.m., right next to the note that read, "Let them talk. The rope means nothing. The record will." Then he waited, because she had just crossed into his game. Sunday afternoon, community hall, chairs filled, fans humming, no smiles. Carla Denton stood at the center, stack of papers in one hand, the kind of paper that makes people nod before reading. She cleared her throat, held the top page high like a verdict. Miles Granger has violated Residential Code 12.4, Section D, no tents, no personal structures, on shared property. Pause. No one clapped. Eyes scanned the room. In the back, Miles sat alone, one arm resting on the chair beside him. In front of him, a framed photo. Sunlight on water, a wooden post marked 1919. He didn't move, didn't raise his hand, but someone else did. From the side door, the young officer, the one who'd been quiet, stepped forward. No expression, no announcement. She placed a folded map on Carla's table. Old, clean, marked. A handwritten note across the bottom. Final assessment, land has never changed title. County office filed, March 14th. Carla stared at it, her lips parted, then shut again. In the front row, a woman with a walking cane leaned forward. Wait, the Spring Lake event? Who signed off on that? That was ticketed, wasn't it? No answer, just a flicker behind Carla's eyes. It's not relevant, she snapped. I was acting within my role. From the back, Miles blinked, tilted his head. One hand slid into his jacket, touched the tape recorder, didn't press play, just touched it, like a chess piece not yet moved. A man coughed, another whispered, then silence again. But something had shifted, not loud, not final, just enough. Carla gripped the table. This meeting isn't about past events. We're discussing violations. Miles said nothing, but the photo stayed in place. The map stayed open. The room stayed watching. No one defended her. Because now, the idea had landed. If it really was shared land, why did only one person make money from it? And if Miles had no right, why was the county's map in her hands, not his? No yelling, no rebuttal, just the soft thud of certainty, dropping one sheet of paper at a time. Carla slammed her hand on the table. I motion to vote. Immediate expulsion of Miles Granger from this community. All in favor, raise your hands. A few went up, then paused. The seventh hand, halfway, stopped midair. Miles still hadn't moved, not a word. Carla smiled, too fast, too soon. You see, This is what community looks like. Order, respect, not chaos under tents. From the corner, the young officer stepped forward again. No introduction, no drama. She placed a color printout on Carla's table, a short note on top, pulled from HOA internal records, time-stamped. The subject line read, Reserve North Lake Site, ticketed event access. 3 weeks prior, Carla's email, signed, stamped with HOA seal. Attached was a photo, her standing beside the old Granger lakefront sign, the one they pulled down. No one spoke. Then a voice. The old woman in the front row, same one from earlier. Excuse me, who signed off on the spring event last year? Wasn't that a ticketed thing too? Carla stiffened, eyes darting. That's irrelevant. I was within my role. A pause. Too long. Miles stood, not tall, not proud, just solid. He reached into his pocket. I'm not framing anyone, he said quietly. I'm just holding on to what others assume could be taken and forgotten. He placed a small rusted keychain on the table. Attached to it, a corner of old leather, faded lines, a torn map fragment, perfectly matched the original deed, the piece someone once cut out to hide the boundary line. My grandfather restitched this, Miles said. After an HOA meeting 23 years ago, Carla, you were still applying to teach yoga from your garage. Silence, pure, crushing. Carla opened her mouth, then shut it again. One by one, the raised hands dropped. The woman with the cane leaned back. I changed my vote, and that was it. Not shouting, not revenge, just facts, time to fall like quiet thunder. In the one place she thought she'd never lose, the room she controlled. And now she stood alone. 3 days later, the signs were gone, the red tape, the loud voices. Carla's name never came up again. The HOA bulletin board stayed blank. That morning, fog lay low on the lake, not cold, just still. The kind of still that makes things feel older. Miles walked down the slope alone. No camera, no meeting, just him. Under one arm, a wooden sign, edges worn soft, letters carved by hand, North Bank Point, Granger, 1942. He didn't bring nails, just 2 flat stones, like the ones his grandfather once stacked. He set the board down, leveled it, didn't hammer, didn't fasten, just let it rest there. Weight over roots. A few feet back, he opened a folding chair. Saturday. Cracked open a soda. The air was quiet. No wind, no need to check his watch. Then, the soft sound of pause. The neighbor's dog, same mutt from the morning of the search, trotted by, stopped, looked at him. Miles nodded. The dog didn't bark this time, just stared for a second longer than it needed to, then walked on. Miles smiled, not happy, not sad, just something in between. I'm not holding land, he said under his breath. I'm holding what people think they can take because they forgot who stood here first. He didn't say it to anyone, not really, just to the fog, and maybe the tree. The sign tilted slightly, one corner dipped, caught by the breeze, but it didn't fall. The stone held, the name stayed. He leaned back, closed his eyes. No more statements, no more paper, no more proving, just a man, sitting where he'd always meant to, and a piece of wood. Old, imperfect, that no one would try to move again. Not everyone fights to win. Some just want no one to touch what they've guarded too long. Some things don't come with noise, not with signatures, or headlines, or raised voices in crowded rooms. Sometimes, it's just a man placing a weathered sign back where it always belonged. Not nailed, just returned. The board leans slightly. The wood is cracked. But the name is still there, and maybe that's enough, because dignity doesn't shout, it remembers, it waits. It sits through the storm so it can watch the ones who thought they were in charge fall apart, all on their own. He didn't win by out-talking her, he didn't win by being louder, he won by staying rooted to something older than the rules they rewrote, the kind of memory that isn't stored in files, but in the hands that built things before anyone asked for permission. Old stones, old names, old promises made by men who never raised their voices, but never let go, either. Some call it pride, Some call it legacy. Maybe it's just this. When you hold something long enough, you learn the difference between fighting to own it and staying to protect it. There are battles that fade, but there are lines that stay drawn, quietly, until someone dares cross them.